Okay, so I think we'll call the meeting to order. It's I have 8:05.
Okay.
Okay, so we have minutes from November 6th to start off with. Any comments on the minutes? Take silence to mean that everyone, or has everyone read the minutes?
I move approval of the minutes.
I second it.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. You have that, Nancy? So let's, yes. Okay, so let's run down. I'll do it in the order I have it on my screen. So Rein first.
We do an all in favor and
Actually, yeah, I do
Yeah.
have a motion and a second, and nobody seemed to have any discussion. So
Right.
unless somebody's got a last minute thing, we'll start with the vote. Okay, so let's take a vote. Rein.
All right, just raise your hand if you vote.
aye.
Okay, Bill.
Yes.
Okay, Nancy. Yes. Jonathan.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes. So that's 6 yeses.
That's all we got.
Unanimous. Okay, so next we come to a report on the number of exemptions that there were this year. And actually, I did not bring the numbers up right in front of me, but my recollection is, so we actually had,
Fewer.
so the number of applications was down quite a bit this year. There were only 35 applications received, and they granted 34 of them. There was one rejection, but the at least I think you've all received the numbers, but let
Yeah,
me.
you said there were 34 exemptions in 2021 compared with 44 which were granted in 2020.
Right. So the difference. I can bring up the number.
I remember 9 people or 7 people died. So that was that explains
Yes.
partially.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
seven removed because the taxpayer died, 2
Yeah.
removed because the taxpayer moved away. 1 taxpayer had 2 houses, 1 taxpayer was under 10%, 1 taxpayer did not file, and one new application was accepted.
Yeah.
I was
Now
trying
they
to think,
So
I
it
was
was
trying
a
to figure out what
loss,
10%.
you said of 11 properties.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I forgot to ask Lane exactly what that means, but I think it's got to do with the, we have the 10% floor on the 10% of your income is the floor of the of one of the floors of the part of the tax, and I think they were under that. So they weren't paying 10% of their income in tax already.
I think the only thing that was alarming to me, I mean, I was relieved in one sense that about the explanation of why some people didn't apply. They were dead or moved to another town. I get that. But what was disturbing to me was that there were so few new people who applied.
Yeah, you would think that more people would age in, and I think there was. Now, Lane did say that they were. I mean, they did send out the application in everyone's taxes, and they did try to contact people, but they didn't get. Usually, they in past years they've also done stuff through the Council on Aging, and this year everything's shut down. And I think that might have hampered their outreach efforts. Nobody's going to the Council on Aging.
Well, it was, there were things written in the bulletin in previous years.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. The
But that was something we could have done, but I hadn't thought about it.
yeah. So I think, so maybe we need to One thing we could think of is perhaps talk to somebody in the Council on Aging and try to and try to get this as a emphasize that this should just basically be an annual thing. I mean, just put it on their schedule, and they'll always remind people about it, so that hopefully people who haven't been in the program will be reminded and will think of signing up.
Well, didn't they send a townwide, previously send a townwide memo to people about it, to everybody in the town, or send a postcard or something previously, and that would get new people as well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that, and I don't know how many new people we could expect each year.
Well, originally we had 52 or something like that.
Yeah. Right, for the first year. But how many people are between 64 and 65 years of age at any point and otherwise would qualify? I mean, that's a fairly narrow.
It's increasing every year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, especially with the demographics in town, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I would yeah, we ought to expect more than one new applicant a year, I think.
It could also be that people are just richer. And people are old, okay, but you don't qualify unless you have a low income. So maybe our older folks have more money.
Yeah,
Whether we think that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's another story. Maybe the old folks without money go elsewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't help but think that we must have missed somebody this year. But
Oh, yes, I'm sure we did.
yeah, but we have so we'll just have to.
So have you worked with Aaron Stevens on messaging on the, because you have so many requirements that can be daunting and putting off to people, even when they, especially if this is, they're already maybe not as literate as you are around all these items. I'm wondering if she might suggest some different kind of messaging that. And have you put it in the news and notices on the website itself?
Good question.
The answer is probably not.
Yeah, okay.
It
Well,
may
the
be
first
that
year we did this, we saturated the airwaves with everything. The town printed a card. You remember we went through that,
Yes.
that whole business.
Right.
We wrote letters to the Concord Journal. We testified before, or we not testified, but we went and did a presentation to the Council on Aging. I mean, we really flogged things, but that was because it had not happened before. And so we really needed to get the word out. And maybe we need to be a little more aggressive about messaging.
Well, I think we didn't pay any attention to it this year. Previously, because I think maybe we thought, okay, the assessors will do that, but this committee needs to be vigilant about that and taking some really doing something about it each year.
Right. I mean, I don't think the assessor's office is really in a position to go find people who the people have to come to them, I think.
Here's a question, David, about that. I think Linda hit on this point. I think it's true. Even though that card we printed and the things that are sent out lay out the basic qualifications, that can be daunting because people are wondering. A simpler message somewhere might be something like this: if you are 65 or older, a senior in Concord, call and see if your property tax can be reduced. And now then the burden falls upon, it's true, it would fall upon the assessor's office. But it wouldn't have to lay out all those qualifications right away. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a senior and you want to check to see whether your property tax can be reduced, call the assessor's office.
and you have to do that with a postcard that goes to every household.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't depend upon it showing up on the web. You can't. Not enough people are reading the newspaper,
Right.
or in fact checking checking on their smartphone, which they may not have, or,
Mhm.
well, my phone is smarter than I am, is the basic problem. So,
Also, I don't know whether the assessors would be happy with that.
Well,
going.
yes, because they will get a lot of phone calls.
We
But in
did
a
that.
way that would actually glean through for folks who really does qualify.
Yeah, we have to make sure that the assessors would agree.
So,
Yeah,
could we put, we might
right.
complicate that message just a little bit with maybe a one-liner, so that not every person would call the assessor, but with a thing like, if your taxes, your property taxes are 10% of your income or greater, you should call the assessor's office to see if by some chance. So that's a one-liner. It doesn't get into income tax and all that kind of stuff. Might that help if we could figure out a way to articulate that?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a good, that's actually the primary screen, I think. Well, one of the primary screens. That and the asset test.
maybe
So-
the Council
Something
on
like that.
Aging, what budget could provide for sending something out?
Yeah, instead of sending a card, if the Council on Aging had that as a sort of bulletin or a little headline in their newsletter, that might begin to.
Yeah, but I think we can't make the assumption that everybody gets on the web, everybody sees the paper, and in fact that everybody gets the Council on Aging newsletter. We don't, for example. I suppose we qualify, being only 80. So
It's electronic now, and for the most part, and it's on people's shoulders to go find it, unless you've signed up for a hard copy to be sent to you. So it's missing a lot of people still.
Yeah,
Well, maybe it would be
I like-
worth this spring mounting up. I can't remember exactly how all this happened, but I remember that the town paid for the printing of the card.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, correct.
And maybe we should
The
have,
the manager agreed or suggested that the town pay for it.
and that blitzed everybody. I mean, there was no, maybe this spring we ought to do one of those.
Well, we have a big question, however, that is our legislative
Yeah.
action, because if we don't get that resolved, we won't be able to do anything.
Well, I think what I would say is maybe we can set it up so that we have this thing all arranged and primed, not printed yet, but ready to go into production and out right after the thing goes. Right after we have the town meeting and the vote, and if those things both pass, out it goes.
Assuming everything goes well. Is it today's the hearing, is it not?
Yes, today is the hearing, which actually brings us, I think, well, let's see, do we have more discussion on the on this topic? Because it might be, if there are further ideas on it, it's a good time to bring them up, I think.
I mean, if you were going to send a card out to people, I mean, one, you've got to be a senior. Two, your house has got to, the value of your home has got to be under the halfway mark, and I think those three things they should know a bit. And I think that would make the assessors a lot more comfortable, that they wouldn't get calls out of the blue from people who just never would qualify.
Well, Jay, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think so that we can look at what's going on today, which is really important to us, that we agree that we ought to set up something, and then we can figure out what precisely the card should say at a meeting, assuming all goes well before the great and general court.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
actually, it wouldn't be too difficult, just using the town valuation list, just to send cards to the houses which are valued below that median level. That would eliminate roughly half the households.
Yeah, and there might be, I don't know if we
Well,
have,
I suggest we table this discussion until
Right.
we know for sure that we have something to send the card out about.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
or at least have gotten past this immediate hurdle of getting through the legislature. I mean, I think if we can get to the legislature, I've got faith in the town. But
You know, the idea of sending a card out to all the people in the town for what amounts to about 30 people, so they're qualified, seems like that's quite an effort.
Yeah.
Jay, one of the reasons we did it that way originally was to say there may be a son or daughter
Right.
who would go to grandfather and say, hey, you know, I got this card, did you get it? And we thought maybe we could sort of cross fertilize. That was the reason we sent it to everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's a good point.
okay, but if we're going to do, if it's going to be a regular thing, it might want to be more, and it can be more focused. I mean, I'm sure the town's got data that would help to narrow it. As you say, first of all, the property value is a good screen, but okay, yeah. So I think I'm inclined to Walter's idea. Let's put this on an agenda after we've gotten past a couple of these other hurdles. Okay, so some stuff that's happened since the last meeting. Well, first of all, of course, yeah, we've got the hearing, which is in progress until virtually until 11:30 a.m. today. And let's see, and I think so we've been invited to
Testify.
we've been invited to submit a testimony as a committee.
Yes, right. And that's by Tammy's office.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't necessarily invite us. They told us there's
Yes.
a hearings going on, which
Yes.
otherwise wouldn't know.
Right. So we were informed of it, but I actually did have communication from them. They would like, they are very interested in our in what we have to say, so that they can make sure that their messaging is in concert with what the town wants. So I was hoping that we would be able to get that out in time, and I think that's something to discuss. And Nancy, you had a couple of paragraphs you had prepared on that, I think.
I did. I sent it out. Did everybody read it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, look good.
Okay.
I have the letter or something, the testimony, but also the petition showing additions or corrections, and those modifications. I don't know whether those are new changes or whether this is what's submitted to them, where it says what was deleted. For example, the markup copy that we have here, which
Yeah.
which
So with the
can't be
changes.
circulated,
Yeah.
and these deletions are. It says, for example, if this is correct in the new version, that the statement was deleted that property taxes should not be reduced by more than 50%. And yet in the letter, it says reduce their property tax to 10% of their income, but by no means, but not more than 50%. So was that deleted, or is it not deleted?
Yeah. So the key to the 50% thing is that we can through this one exemption, this one exemption can amount to is 50% of the property tax from the top. But it is possible to exempt further from the top. The way the old one was written, once you hit 50%, you couldn't apply any other exemption.
Well, I only found it confusing because if there's nothing about 50%, that's been deleted from the act, and yet it's referred to in the letter.
Well, there is 50% though, because it's just 50% in different wordings. Except this exemption shall not be more than 50% of the total tax. That's in the new text.
Oh,
All right, I stand corrected. Thank you.
Yeah. It is a little bit hard. I probably should have. It might have been better if we managed to color code these things as well as the strikeout versus the underline, because it's a little hard to tell. I can see a lot of stuff change. I can see a few things changed here, but it's hard to read the stuff that went in as opposed to the stuff that came out.
I have a number of suggestions relating to the second paragraph, which at your convenience, I would say what they are.
You mean, Ron, you mean in the letter? Is that what we're talking about?
In the letter, yeah.
say what they are.
The act is the act, but the letter, I think, there's some changes that I think would improve it. So if anybody's interested.
Yeah, yes, of course. That's
Yeah.
why we're here.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, do people have the copies of
Yeah.
the letter as we circulated it?
Yeah.
So there's I would make the following changes. The 2020 Concord Town Meeting, followed by a subsequent town-wide, I would insert the word town-wide ballot question. Now that's maybe obvious to us, but I'm trying to look at the legislator who was looking at this, and so I said, okay, this has been blessed town-wide.
Okay.
And so I would put that in. And then where it says, as well as include a few administrative changes to make staffing easier. I think were I a legislator, I would say, boy, oh boy, what are they hiding by that? Okay. No. Oh, we just made a few little insignificant changes. So I think that more specificity would be useful to the legislator who's looking at the letter, perhaps, and not looking at the act. And so that I think that my suggestions would be to say, to continue the exemption, all right, changing the definition of income and other administrative changes suggested by the town assessor to make implementation simpler.
Yeah.
Does anybody follow that?
Yes.
Okay, so first I'm working in the town assessor. Then we have changes suggested by the town assessor. And then I'm trying to be a little bit more specific by saying, change the definition of income.
Yeah. Could I even suggest, perhaps rather than change, simplify? Because our goal is not to change how much income you get. We're just trying to simplify the way it's
Yeah,
the assessor
well, that's fine.
calculates it.
But staffing, staffing easier, I thought that, well, implementation simpler, or something like that. Okay, in that case. And then I would,
Let me read that to you. Was the let's see, simplify simplify the definition of income and make other changes, and then tell me the rest.
we could say suggested by the town assessor.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we got, why were those changes made? Well, those changes were suggested by the town assessor to make the implementation simpler or easier, or something like that. But I also would then put in just before the request that says before the in order, because we can't sort of paste over or paint over the issue that we are making this permanent, which is one of the key components of it. And as Nancy pointed out in an email, that they have a thing that has to be reapproved by the town every 3 years, which is different from what we have by simply removing the sunset provision. So, and I think ours is better. So I would put in there just before the last sentence. Also, because the exemption can be rescinded at any time by town vote, the statutory 3-year sunset provision has been eliminated. Shall I
Also,
reread it?
because the exemption can be,
So I said, also, because the exemption can be rescinded at any time by town vote,
uh-huh,
the statutory 3-year, or it doesn't have to say 3-year, the statutory 3-year sunset provision has been deleted. Or is not included, because strictly speaking, it's a new act, so it doesn't have to say it's been deleted. It say is, you know, the previous 3-year sunset provision is not present, or something like that. Because I think that's a substantive change.
how do you all think about that? What do you think about that?
I think it's a good addition. I think being more explicit personally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. First of all, I somehow have missed I seem to have missed the email with the letter. And I've got several attachments, but that one I wasn't able to find.
You mean
And anyway,
in testimony?
yeah, and since we've edited it anyway, I was wondering if you could just read it back just so we all hear exactly what we're going to be
Well,
saying.
Before you do, can I add some more? Can I suggest some more revisions to it?
Yeah, let's do the revisions first, and then read it back. I no need to read it back more than once.
And maybe I misheard. Maybe Ron, you're already spoken to this. The paragraph that begins the Concord Select Board, was it will be sending you. I think you have to say has sent you the revised version, right?
Let's see.
Yeah, that's correct, because they're looking at it right now.
See that, Nancy?
I'm looking for it.
It's not on the top of the letter I have.
Oh, maybe look at.
All
Is this
right.
the letter
Oh,
to, or maybe I'm working from the wrong letter then. Is it the letter from to Representative Gouveia?
No,
this
it's
is
the
No.
Joint Committee
Oh.
on Revenue.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm looking at the wrong letter too.
Okay,
just-
right. Yeah, I remember the letter Bill's looking at. I have that one also. Yeah.
Okay, let me
No,
find
this
the other
was,
one.
This was
That was-
the Committee on Revenue letter.
Yeah, it's the direct one from the committee, from
Yes.
that committee to the Committee on Revenue.
Right.
All right,
Can you find it?
I will. I'm sure you have it.
Came out today, yesterday.
Yeah, may I interject that you may want to refer to House Bill 5145, because that act is what is before the Joint Committee on Revenue, the actual act. And you
I
can't,
think that's good, yeah. Yeah, we gotta know what it refers to.
yeah, and also I would just add that you can't assume that the text that that the town meeting voted on is identical to the text that is in H 5145. I did look at that, however, and it seems to be pretty close. That's not typical, however, in terms of how these go back and forth between
Oh, I see.
the town meeting and getting up on the Hill for an actual act.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I think we have no guarantee that they won't change it further, right? I mean, that's something we have to be prepared for.
Yeah.
Right.
If that in
Second
fact
pa-
is what happened with Sudbury when they deleted the sunset clause, and Sudbury had no idea that was going to happen. So
Well,
that's
yeah,
a good illustration.
But I don't know exactly how that worked out. I mean, they didn't, we thought they deleted the sunset clause, but that wasn't what they did. They said that the town meeting, when it expires, the town meeting has to, every 3 years, the town meeting has to vote to continue it. And then there's a whole act. They have a new act that says that, or it's an amendment to their old act.
I found the letter, and yeah, and I think Ryan's elaboration works well on it. I can see why he did it, so I'm fine with it.
Mhm.
It's brief too, which I like.
Okay, so we're ready to read it back then?
The whole thing or just the changes?
I think the whole thing being intent. I'd like to just like
All
let's
right.
hear how it
To
sounds.
the Joint Committee on Revenue from the Concord Tax Fairness Committee. The legislature passed Concord's senior means tested property tax exemption as Chapter 374 of the Acts of 2016. The term of this act was 3 years. This exemption allows Concord homeowners age 65 and older whose incomes are below the state income tax circuit breaker amount, currently 76,000 if single or 92,000 if joint, to reduce their property tax to 10% of their income, but by no more than 50%. The exemption has worked well. This past year, there were 34 recipients approved for the total amount of $123,432. This resulted in an increase in the tax rate from $14.71 to $14.73. However, fiscal 2021 is the last year allowed under this act. Now, the 2020 Concord Town Meeting, followed by a subsequent town, can we just say town ballot question? Because naturally, they'd be town-wide. Voted favorably to continue the exemption, as well as to
Just say including administrative changes.
yes, all right,
You don't need as well as.
including changes to,
I said administrative changes suggested by the town assessor.
to simplify the definition of income and other changes suggested by the town assessor.
Good.
Then to make, well, maybe we could just leave it there.
Yeah.
Shall we? Okay. Then let's see.
That was, now here's where, Nancy, I wanted to include before the in order to.
Yes,
Let's bring
also,
in also because
because the exemption can be rescinded at any time by a vote of the wait a minute,
that's fine.
by town vote.
Yeah.
The previous statutory 3-year
Sunset provision.
sunset provision has been deleted.
Yeah. And I think we would say the previous statutory sunset.
Right. Previous. All right. And in order to continue the Concord means tested property tax exemption this year, we request that the Joint Committee on Revenue report out favorably Home Rule Petition H 5145.
Do we need to say this year, in order to continue the Concord means tested property tax exemption, we request?
All right, but it is that this year is because otherwise it's gone.
But it's not only this year, that's what I'm trying to.
Oh, I see what you mean. So, but we, how do we indicate that it's really important to pass right now in order to continue it this very year.
In
And
order to support our Concord citizens applying for this without interruption, it's
Sounds
necessary.
good, yeah.
It's necessary too.
All
Yeah.
right, in order to, what was that again? In order to,
In order that yeah, Linda, I think that's great. You work in the citizens, and I'd say, in order that our senior citizens may continue.
would you say it again, Linda?
If I can, in order to offer this exemption to our senior population without interruption,
Okay, just
some version of that.
And
Yeah.
without interruption is the
We
key.
request, yeah.
Yeah.
to our, let's see, in order to offer this exemption to our Concord, how did you say that about the people? To our
Our
the
Concord
senior
senior, yeah, our
our
Concord
Concord senior citizens
yes.
without interruption. Okay,
Immediate action from the Joint Committee on Revenue and the legislature is paramount. Or some better version of that.
all right. I guess we should just say by the legislature.
Yeah.
Paramount. Another word?
It is, but
Yes.
Paramount sounds kind of
yeah, you can look up, you can,
see a synonym for paramount.
Well, vital, essential,
Imperative, how about
Vital.
imperative?
Vital.
imperative.
imperative, thank you, yeah, better word.
Imperative. So I want to mention the number of it, the H1 5145 somewhere, somehow.
In that last sentence would be good.
It's, yeah. Well, I'll try to figure it out, if you don't mind. I have to get it typed so I can do it.
Sure.
So assume that I'll do that. All right.
And then do you email that straight into Tammy's office? Is that what happens?
No, they give us somewhere to email it to the
There's a
committee.
there's a web form. You can attach the
Yeah,
the document at the bottom of the web form.
right.
Yeah, I'm actually planning to submit a personal letter as well. And happily, not overlapping much with Nancy's letter. Nancy did a very good job of doing the facts, and I just put my own experiences in there. So
Do we need a motion to allow our secretary to do that, or is that just?
I think I would like to take a vote on this to make this something an actual action the committee is taking to jointly submit this letter.
All right, what would be the vote?
So the motion would be that the committee, I move that the committee ask the secretary to submit the statement we just worked on to the, to whom are we submitting it? To the joint committee,
Mhm.
to the joint committee on revenue.
you might need a second. I'll second that.
Okay. Well, we've had plenty of discussion on this. So I think we're ready for a vote, I believe. Now people have shuffled around on my screen, but I'm gonna go in the screen order again. So Bill's at the top now. Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Nancy?
Yeah, yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, yes for me. So we are again unanimous. And as I said, I did ask Tammy Gavea's aide about this, and she said that they did welcome individual testimony is fine too. So if anybody else cares to put in theirs before 11:30 this morning, you're welcome to. But I think Nancy's letter is going to it makes the case very well for the committee.
So do you have you already signed up for an account to make that submission? Just to allow yourself enough time to do that is my point.
No, I was just going to send it to this, whatever the,
There's a web form you have to put in your name and and some other
Okay.
information, and then there's at the bottom there's a button you can click supposedly to attach a document.
okay, well,
If that doesn't work, there's another window where I think you can probably paste the document in if that's.
oh, yeah. Okay, good, because you've done it already.
Well, I visited the web page. I
Okay.
haven't actually pushed the button yet.
Okay. So Linda, what about the select board?
Yes, we're doing the same. We were up there yesterday. Myself and the town manager are testifying for another bill out of the most recent town meeting, and this one will only be submitted in writing so it's a little different. But yes, we're also doing this.
Okay.
Let's hope everyone up there is busy between now and end of session so that some activity comes our way on all these things. That would be great. Some of you know far better than I all the last minute activity that happens with these.
Although I'm impressed with Tammy's aggressiveness of getting this out. And some previous representatives, I felt sometimes we were shouting into a black hole. I think I'm really tickled with
Right.
her alacrity, moving with alacrity.
Yeah, she's been very helpful.
Okay. Let me just check to see how we're doing. Okay. So we're ready to proceed on to other business. I did want to report that I did speak to Jay Kaufman since our last meeting. He was very interested to talk and I think it was very helpful. So we talked about the possibilities for reviving something like the local option, local income tax initiative, and yeah, his assessment of the kind of the political landscape, at least at the time he left Beacon Hill, and maybe now, was not all that encouraging, to be honest. At that time, it seemed not to have a lot of chance of success. But he did suggest, if we were interested in pursuing it, several avenues we could take. One of which would be talking to the chair of the Revenue Committee, which I think I would certainly delay that at this point, because I want them to. We've got other business in front of them. I want that business done first. And another option would be talking to someone at the Mass Municipal Association. Again, I think I wanted to get his feedback on that topic, but I think we have this our current issue is of a higher priority right now, I think. So I have been pursuing that further.
I think we should remember that the state Supreme Court really determined that,
Yeah.
that until there was a change in that section of the state constitution, that really wasn't going to be possible. So
yeah, this is a very, very long long range task, I think, to even.
We had a lot of discussion about that, and we said that the whole proposals for local option income tax founded on that particular reef. However, it occurs to me that we already have a state income tax, right? So that exists. Now, suppose you simply had an act of the legislature in which a town could request that a certain fraction of the income tax be returned to the town. I think that would have a certain degree of popularity.
Well, it would certainly be popular with the town. I don't think it would be popular with the legislature.
I mean, let's not levy a new tax. That would require, in a different way. All we're simply saying is how you allocate the existing tax.
Yeah.
So suppose you have an act of the legislature which simply says that a town may request that such and such percent of the taxes obtained from that town or city, municipality, be returned directly to the town. Now, the net effect of that will be, of course, that the legislature will say, well, of course, we're going to do that. Yes, we're going to give you your money back, but we're going to raise your taxes another percent. Well, that's what we proposed anyway. So we don't change anything. We just say, well, you have a chance to get your money back. I think everybody vote for that.
well, who knows?
Or a devious character.
No new tax.
Jay, wanted to tell you, I've got to pull out of this meeting. I have a doctor's appointment at 9,
Okay.
which I'm afraid I've got to head for. So I'm sorry to do that, but I'm not left with much choice.
Okay. Sorry to lose you.
Yeah, I think that what happens is we brought up this topic and immediately your headache got to the point where you needed to get to the doctor.
You got it.
But Jay is all in favor of Lolita. Yeah. You know that. Yeah. We know that, Jay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So.
Well, David, since the issue has been brought up already in the tail end of this meeting with respect to the agenda for a future meeting, the options with respect to local options, that might be a useful topic for a future meeting agenda.
Yeah, I think we could bring that up. I think that perhaps that would be a good thing to continue at a future meeting. As I said before, I wanted to talk to Jay about this, but and since I had done it, I wanted to report to you, but I think actually pursuing this is a topic for another day, since we have a much higher priority item that we've just been dealing with. I wanted to mention just one more thing. I did aside from that topic, we also discussed, well, what about the possibility of simply removing the age limit?
Yes,
And
that's what I thought might work all right. But
and he had this interesting comment, which was that the original circuit breaker was not supposed to be age limited.
mm-hmm.
The legislature put the age limit on in order to reduce the scope of it so that it wouldn't cost so much.
Uh-huh.
But the original idea was for all ages. So provided that we're able to work out how we can deal with that in town and don't have to bother the legislature with the cost of it, perhaps that might have some that might have some success.
Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't. It doesn't seem to be a constitutional issue, does it?
Not if you do it. Not if you're simply saying it's the same for every age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting. If let's assume that this goes through and it's fine. If the town, in its own wisdom, wanted to eliminate the age requirement, would we have to go back to the state, or could the town just do that?
I think we would have to go back to the state, in my
I
understanding.
would think so too, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we've been authorized to do this exemption for people 65 and over. I don't see how we can legally go beyond that.
The words senior and means tested
That's
were
too.
powerful to people,
They're in the,
because,
they're,
you know, we weren't going to give this to anybody who probably really needed it, you know, let's it's a thing.
Yeah.
You gotta make it means tested so that you don't give people an exemption if they're not poor. But if they're poor, they wouldn't be here to start with, so.
Well, I think we're going to keep the means tested. There are a number of cases for. I have a suspicion that, you know, if we opened it up if we opened up the ages, it's not that we would. I mean, I don't think we would get the same percentage of people at younger ages as we are among the senior population, because you know, people who are retired or on fixed income are I think much more likely to.
Maybe we could have a provision that would apply this to, instead of an age range, we would say municipal employee, which include police, firemen, teachers, etc.
That's another possibility. I think I didn't discuss that, but yeah, but yeah, there are you know, there are families and individuals living in this town who are facing some sort of hardship or another, and they're you know, people lose jobs, people have reduced income, people become disabled. These things happen.
Well, and particularly now during the pandemic, this may have happened to more people than we're aware of.
If you made it, you know, instead of, again, age, people who are eligible for, say, food stamps, I don't know the name of these programs, but there are a number of programs that are state administered for people whose incomes suddenly change.
Yeah, I mean, that might make the administration easier as well. Okay. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that again. Perhaps we want to continue that when we have the next time we have Jay back. Also, since we are well, actually, we're just at we're only at 9 o'clock now, but we do have a couple other things to discuss. So, well, I don't know which order we actually want to take this in, the future of the committee or the preferred qualifications for the new board members.
We have to set a new date.
Next meeting date.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think sometime in January, I think we're hoping that we get some action on, I don't know, can Linda, is there any,
today?
do we have, I don't quite know what the timeline is on the legislature, but they're pretty much, they're set to finish this year, right? This month?
Yes, I think so. End of
Or-
year is the end of this year's legislature.
All right, so if we meet any time in January, then we should have, by that time, we should have basically some news on that they have or have not.
Mhm.
Months from today?
Yeah, I had to say this. I have to go soon too. And I've been, and I'm wondering whether we ought to just simply set the next meeting.
Mhm.
Then and at the next meeting, then discuss. We'll know more about the future of the committee,
Yeah.
depending on what the legislature comes up with, or doesn't. And honestly, I would prefer postponing the next two items. The qualification.
I think that's a very good argument, and I, first of all, and I would certainly also like to get Jay's input on this as well. So
Yeah.
So for all those reasons, I would be very happy to just continue this discussion at our next meeting.
Yeah.
in
Should be
January.
how about the 15th of January?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a Friday.
Yep.
Okay. So is the 15th of January good for everyone? I hope it's good for Jay. We'll find out.
Good.
All right. Well, in that case, I think that's all that we wanted to discuss today then.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question. Linda,
Yeah.
I didn't miss a chair's breakfast meeting, did I? I was at the one in November.
No, it's the third Wednesday of the month.
Third Wednesday. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Right.
Good.
Okay. So I
Linda,
guess,
thank you for joining us. That's, you always have good insights.
Absolutely.
I learn a lot from listening to all of you too, so thank you.
Good.
okay. So
Make a motion. I make a motion that we adjourn.
thank you.
A second.
Okay. So I think all in favor vote by leaving the meeting.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Oh,
Christmas.
yes.
Thank you.
Same to you all.
Okay. See everyone in January.